Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. Today we have some rather strange things to look at, as we often do. And this story is Prince Harry appearing in someone's doorbell camera. There's the face, there's the has-been, and he's on his phone jabbing at the doorbell. He's looking for a friend in London. Up and down a street in Fulham. Up and down he went, no sign of security, ringing strangers' doorbells, trying to find this friend. At least 3 doors he tried before he finally found the right spot. And up and down the road, at least half a mile in Fulham, Prince Harry trotting up and down, as I say, in the city where he fears terrible attacks might happen, attacked with acid, knife attacks, whatever attacks he's told us about. But lo and behold, there's the has-been, not a bodyguard in sight, and looking quite calm and collected. Well, not that calm and collected, because clearly lost. So this is a story that's come from the Sun in the past day or so. And the Sun, of course, also broke the Deliveroo story from last May, when Harry was staying with his friend Lord Charles Vivian, and they ordered takeaways, which is absolutely forbidden if you are a high-risk kind of a person. So here we go, another similar story also revealed by the Sun. And we don't know when exactly this happened, but the Royal Grift has done a bit of detective work, and she reckons that the visit to London might have happened straight after the trip to New York, where the has-been was swatted away. Sorry, I nearly choked briefly. He was swatted away by Meghan when she leapt out of her motorcade to attend that Times 100 interview in New York, and then they had various events together. She reckons, Royal Grift, that the BBC interview was recorded a bit before that New York visit, because of course Harry and Meghan would have been told the outcome of the appeal about a week before we, the public, heard the outcome. And she speculates that Harry flung himself onto a plane straight after the events in New York and arrived in London to see Pa and try and petition Pa. This is her theory that I'm just repeating, to try and see Pa before the verdict was, or the outcome of the appeal was made public, to try and get Pa to intercede on Harry's behalf. And Pa was having none of it, we assume, or Royal Grift speculates, and this is why Harry was possibly wandering the streets of Fulham up and down trying to find a friend. So that is the context of the reading. Storyteller Tarot on the tarot table for this one, because it's of course our famous dragon slayer. The dragon is being more slayed than doing slaying. At this point, he really looks more and more idiotic as the days go by. Some people are speculating that this might have been a stunt or some peculiar kind of thought process involved. And see, here I am, defenseless on the streets of London, lost and alone. But we're going to just have a look and see, what was he thinking, what was he up to, the circumstances. In other words, when was this actually, because we are not told by the Sun. We want to know who he was trying to visit and why he might have been trying to hunt down this particular friend. We want to know about security. Where were those bodyguards? How at risk is he really feeling in London? Didn't look like he was worried at all. I want to know who's leaking these stories and why. The Sun might have an axe to grind, because there has been litigation with Harry. You don't want to make an enemy of the Sun and Rupert Murdoch, in my opinion. And then, how embarrassed or not is Harry at this latest ridiculous story that's come out about him? It just makes him look so stupid, so hypocritical. This is, of course, my opinion. And let's remind you quickly that this is just tarot, and it is all for fun and entertainment, and it is all my opinion and all speculation, and we just read energy here. It's really energy of stories like this. Why is the has-been knocking at strangers' doors on a cold grey morning in London, and his crumpled suit with a red mark on his nose? We're not going to ask about that. And what is really going on? And of course, disclaimer in the box below. I got distracted with the red mark on his nose because some people are joking that maybe he was visiting a particular kind of a friend or connection in London for a very particular reason, to do with noses and things. But we're not going to go there. I'm just going to say, as a person with a very fair skin, who lives in a very hot climate, who has lost a very close connection to skin cancer, Harry, go and see a doctor about that red mark on your nose, please. That is just my helpful tip for Prince Harry. You see, I do really care about him. So the star in reverse is our underlying energy. That's a very interesting card, because if the royal grift is right, he had just received this devastating news. He'd made that impulsive, impetuous, shouty interview, or given that interview to the BBC. He looked pretty wretched in New York. We all thought it was because Meghan was being so horrible to him. I'm going to stick it here. Why not? These are big fat cards and I don't have room on the tarot table for them. But the star in reverse is a very interesting energy because it's lost, it's despair. And yes, there's a pun in there, but I'll just leave it for now. It is just wretchedness. He thought he was going to win this appeal. By all accounts, he thought until the very last minute that this was a shoo-in. And if he just kept appealing and kept throwing money at it and sending the lawyers into the fray, eventually he would win. But no, star in reverse, despair and lost purpose, lost path, illness as well. The star in reverse can indicate sort of illness, but despair, I think, is the strongest energy that's coming through here. And so royal grift might have be on it when her theory is stacked up against the star in reverse energy, that maybe he was in a desperate state, rushing around, flying over to London, rushing about, trying to find someone, wise counsel from someone in Fulham. So let's take the star and stick it up there now. We're done with it for the time being. Let's look at the general energy. What are we dealing with today in this story? That's the Knight of Hearts and it's in reverse. That's the Knight of Cups in reverse. Harry doesn't normally come through as Knight of Hearts or Cups. That's normally Prince William or his father, Prince Charles, as now King Charles. But that's somebody who's terribly upset, devastated emotionally, really very, very keen to talk to someone. Knights are action characters in the tarot. They want stuff done. The Knight of Hearts wants emotional connection, wants to communicate with people, wants to tell them stuff, wants to meet up with them. That's Harry. Harry was in desperate need of consolation, a shoulder to cry on. As I say, I have no idea who that person in Fulham might have been. We're going to ask. It might have been an old girlfriend for all we know. I was thinking more in terms of old schoolmates or people like that, but who knows? It could have been an old nanny or someone. We're going to try and find out. But he definitely needed a shoulder to cry on with that star energy in reverse and with that Knight of Hearts in reverse as the central issue. So what generally was going on? Why was he up and down the street ringing people's random strangers' doorbells? Queen of Scepters, that's the Queen of Wands. It's Meghan's energy that's shown up here. That's interesting. I'm trying to figure out why he's doing this, right? And if it's some kind of a stunt or if this is genuine distress. I've got genuine distress on the table with the star in reverse and the Knight of Hearts in reverse. But then I've got Meghan's energy that shows up as the sort of impulse. What's he doing? What's he up to? Up and down the street. I guess that she bunged him on a plane and said, you go back to the UK right now and you get access to your father because this has got to be fixed. It's costing them a ton of money. And I do suspect, because of the energy that's come through in readings recently, that she wants access to the royal family again. I know most commentators say absolutely not. Meghan Markle will never set foot in the UK again because she's worried about people booing her. She knows the royals hate her. A lot of people speculate that she might be prevented from actually entering the UK. There is that school of thought. I think that she's so desperate and almost manic and obsessive. We've seen how she's been stalking the Princess of Wales, allegedly, that I think she wants that door open. While there is still a door to be opened, her energy has shown up. Just saying. Queen of Scepters. So then want to know, when was this? When was this? Was it a year ago? Was it right now? Difficult to tell time with tarot, but we might get situation. Oh yeah, it's as a result of the failure of that court appeal. The world in reverse. His whole world has collapsed, Harry. He did not foresee that he would lose this appeal. And the world is about success and completion and achieving your goals, victory. I've completed this task. I can move on to the next thing. He's stuck in the same cycle because the world is in reverse. And he still believes somehow that Pa can make this all go away, can fix it and force the judge to decide differently, or get the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary or whatever to intervene and save the has-been from his own foolishness. That's the world in reverse. I think the royal grifts theory about timing stacks up, and that is of course just my opinion, but there is energy that backs it up on this tarot table. So I think she's onto something there. So how about the who and the why? Who? Give us a clue, please. Who might he have been trying to find? Emperor. A daddy figure. That's looking for a daddy figure. Not an old girlfriend, not nanny. Emperor is father. He's the father of the tarot. He's the alpha male. Harry, we know, is not even remotely alpha. And he's looking for a daddy figure. I'm going to speculate it's someone like, I'm not saying it is, but someone like Mark Dyer, that kind of person. We know that Harry has quite a collection of surrogate, is the word that he uses, surrogate father figures. He had that Foster character, David Foster, in the States, that at some stage he was treating as or describing as a foster father, and he has had quite a few in the UK. We hear about them mostly to do with his charities. They tend to wind up on boards of charities that Harry is involved in as trustees, people like that. So there's, as I say, quite a collection of them. So I can't point at one and say this person in particular, but older emperor, older than Harry, alpha male, possibly a military figure, somebody who served in the military, a veteran, somebody who's possibly served in government, somebody with high authority, somebody who knows how to manage and control and direct and organize people, somebody with access to the levers of power he was looking for, wanted to cry on their shoulder, wanted them to save him. Of course, the emperor is the king. So if he was charging up and down a random street in Fulham, he might have been looking for someone who could get him that, he thought, could get him that access to the king. That's the ultimate alpha in this hierarchical sort of energy that's coming through with the emperor. So I need to make that very clear. It's not the energy that came through first, but I think that Harry was looking for a very high status male figure who he thought could open that door to Pa, and that's why the Queen of Scepters is sitting next to the Emperor. Her machinations, her command that Harry is executing, I speculate, my opinion, reading energy. So why? Let's just check the why. We've got a very clear idea of the who, kind of a character. Why the Lovers in reverse? I think that a kind of a warning or a threat has been issued by the Queen of Scepters that if you don't sort this out, that's the end of us. You need to fix this. We know that she's lost everything. She's really messed up with her own brand launch this year, 2025, the writing in the sand. But it didn't quite turn out the way she anticipated. And so I think she's trying to pivot back to royalty, trying to cling on to that HRH, trying to get access to the king herself. Neil Sean's story, which I need to look at, that she's trying to get a one-on-one with the king. She believes she can patch things up. She can sort it all out. And then she's back in with the royals. If not, I'm getting a warning. You want still to have a wife, a duchess in your life. If you don't have a duchess in your life, you are all alone in America or the world, because there's nobody that cares about you like Mummy Meghan does, and through Mummy Meghan, Mummy Diana, you've alienated everyone else. Meghan has made damn sure that he's alienated everyone else, and so Harry, I think, is desperate to cling on to Meghan for the time being, not out of love, but in my opinion, out of pure panic. That's my opinion. So what about the security? Where were the security guys? Did they get left behind in New York in that motorcade? Where were they? Oh, we've got the moon in reverse. The moon is fear. Very much a fear card. When you're in that moon energy, when you're in the woods and all you can see is shadows, you are very afraid and very suspicious and very skittish and nervous and anxious. But it's the moon in reverse. Maybe there's something about those guys that we see when Harry needs to have that muscle around him that's more fake than real. And that's a very strange energy to come through, but it's only coming through because the moon is a card of what is real. That's the real question when you have the moon. What are you really seeing? What are you really believing? Who can you really trust? What is really being presented to you? Is it all smoke and mirrors? That's the moon energy. In reverse tells me that he really wasn't afraid, that they might have been kept with Meghan. There might not be that many to go around. And that if anyone's going to get them, it's going to be our Queen of Scepters, not Harry. Not on this occasion. That's what's coming through for me. And I don't think it was meant to be seen, discovered, because the moon in reverse, you do see something that was meant to be hidden and has now snuck into the light. So we can all have a good look at it. Something a bit nasty, a bit off, that has crawled out of a swamp, generally in moon energy, and it's a bit ew. And you want to sort of push it back with your toe back into the swamp. That's the energy that's coming through for me. So how worried is Harry really about being unprotected on the streets of London? If I'd got the moon now, I would have said, oh, wow. And we got the Seven of Scepters. This is such an interesting card because the Seven of Scepters has come up before when I have asked this question. Seven of Wands, and it's in reverse, and literally this card. And I was going to talk about it earlier in this reading, and then I thought, nah, why reference a previous reading of mine? Let's just go clean into this reading and see what happens. This card showed up the previous time I asked this question. How at risk does Harry really feel? And I got exactly the same card. Seven of Wands in reverse. He feels very vulnerable and very exposed. He genuinely doesn't feel safe, which is odd then that he should be going up and down this road from one end to the other, knocking on doors, ringing bells, and talking to strangers, because sometimes the door was opened and a housekeeper or somebody, householder, answered the bell. There's the has-been all by himself, unless that burly character was just out of sight. Could be, but not with that energy around. He feels vulnerable, he feels exposed, he feels at risk. And yet there were no security guards there within sight, or not that we've heard about from the Sun, which seems to know all about this event. So we're going to ask, who is behind these stories? Who's leaking these stories about Harry? Because it's quite strange. The Mage is the Magician and it's in reverse. It's the PR card, the Mage, the Magician. in reverse, trickstery kind of a thing that is going on. And it's a very untrustworthy card when it's in reverse, the Magician. So somebody's up to something. I asked earlier in this reading, was this a stunt? And Megan's energy has shown up. And it does seem as if she has kind of set this in motion, the wheels in motion, put the has-been on a plane, possibly, in my opinion, without that big burly security guy who's his only friend, set him off to try and connect with Pa somehow and have him possibly scurrying up and down, ringing doorbells, at least 3, before he found whoever he was looking for. Is this some kind of stunt? Maybe a message to Pa. I'm so desperate, I'm so anxious. I actually flew over, helpless and unprotected, and was rushing up and down trying to connect with whoever so that I could be put in contact with you. Is that something that was going on and now it's been leaked to the sun? It's possible. I'm looking at the cards on the table and I'm trying to extract some sort of narrative from the cards for entertainment purposes. And of course, this is me speculating, just my opinion. If not her, and that was just a possible narrative, then somebody for PR purposes. We know that Harry has got his own PR in the UK. Then it would be a similar sort of setup. So I'm going to go in the direction of staged. That's where I'm heading with that card in reverse. I do think he was very worried. I do think he's very upset. I think desperate. And I do think Megan's involved in at least sending him off to the UK. But we've got some sort of manipulation of events going on for me with the Mage in reverse. And so let's ask, that's who is leaking this to the sun. Why? We're going to see if we get confirmation of that energy. And now we've got the King of Scepters in reverse. That's the King of Wands in reverse. That's Harry's energy very much. And like over there, that was his energy. This is the King of Scepters in reverse. This is Harry, and this is Harry falling on hard times. This is Harry in a bit of a panic. Harry thought he was going to be the bold and fearless leader and popular, and everybody was going to follow him all around the world, which would be the King of Scepters. And instead he's looking like a coward, like a loser. Can't have that. And so we've got to somehow spin something to make him look like he's being more of a directive energy than a reactive energy. He's busy, he's knocking on doors, he's looking for people. He's a man of the people, doing what normal people do, which is ringing doorbells and looking for people. Desperate stuff. The King of Scepters in reverse tells me desperate person, desperate measures. That's what this is telling me. How embarrassed is he at this point, or is he okay with this because this was the plan, that this happened and was revealed? Yeah, he wanted it known, the Sun. He's not embarrassed at all. We've seen them together at the Beyonce concert today. As I'm doing this, it's a Saturday evening as I'm doing this reading, and there it is. The Sun is exposure, illumination, spotlight on. He absolutely wanted this to be made public. The Sun is, interestingly, the Sun newspaper, using the Sun, using people. I think he's using his new PR in the UK to get these very interesting messages to the Sun. I think this thing smells a bit fishy to me, more than a bit fishy, I'm just going to say. So that is my opinion. That's my reading. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.